I'm Marty Stauffer. I have to admit that it's hard for me to imagine myself having much use for the tusks of a walrus or the mouth of a manatee, but I doubt that either one of those animals would want to trade for my beard anyway. All animals, including we humans, have evolved in different ways, and each animal has evolved in a way that best allows it to fit into its own particular ecological niche. It's kind of funny that what we consider the strangest features of some animals are the very elements which have allowed them to survive in their environment, to protect themselves from predators, and to obtain their nourishment. Over the ages, natural selection has worked on all animals to preserve and emphasize certain behavioral and physical elements that helped in their survival. At the same time, it's worked to get rid of and discard other elements that weren't necessary. To us, these may be weird, unusual, curious, or amazing, but they're not mistakes. They're animal oddities. The dinosaurs of the Mesozoic era, 200 million years ago, were some of the oddest animals ever to exist. But despite their strange appearance, most scientists believe that the dinosaurs were probably well adapted to their tropical environment. Their disappearance is a mystery. Many researchers believe that a dramatic weather change could have taken the cold-blooded reptiles by surprise. Others theorize that small mammals, like this prehistoric relative of the shrew, began to eat the dinosaurs' unprotected eggs. Whatever the cause, 63 million years ago, the age of reptiles gave way to the age of mammals. The dinosaurs' demise left many ecological niches unoccupied, and other animals began to fill them. The competition was fierce. Sometimes, those with the weirdest adaptations survived most successfully. This giant armadillo's relatives roam the Southwest today, their shells still serving as their primary protection. Other animals, like the giant sloth, went the way of the dinosaurs. The sloth's standing height helped it to eat from the high branches of trees. At the same time, its large size also slowed its ability to escape. Surprisingly, the saber-tooth was not much faster than the sloth. But it was fast enough. This sort of predation speeds up the evolutionary process, even though both of these species eventually died out. The woolly mammoth survived for 540,000 years, but when the Ice Age passed, so did the mammoth. Adaptability, it's the reason that some of yesterday's animals are still here today. The modern muskox certainly looks prehistoric, and it is. It evolved thousands of years ago, and has remained the same ever since. Herds of these shaggy creatures live in the Arctic today, where their wagon-train defense tactics are as interesting as their appearance. When confronted by natural enemies, muskox find safety in numbers. But this stationary defense allowed easy slaughter by early explorers. Ironically, the behavior that had helped ensure their survival for centuries almost became their ruin. Other animals have adapted certain behaviors to define territories or to select mates. The grouse of the western plains develop traits that serve both purposes. The male sage grouse puffs his air sacs to attract a possible mate. He will exhibit this behavior in a small territory which he defends exclusively for this purpose. Females are allowed, but when another male crosses the territorial line, fighting occurs. The territorial sage grouse live near the equally possessive sharp-tailed grouse. The sharp-tail lacks the large air sacs of the sage grouse and instead dances on its courting grounds. The male sharp-tail will fight just as fiercely should another male trespass. Despite the distinctive mating mechanisms of the sharp-tailed and sage grouse, occasionally they interbreed. The hybrid offspring of such a mixed marriage finds himself left out during mating season. He's unable to fully inflate his air sacs like the sage grouse. And he cannot dance like the sharp-tail. He's all mixed up. First he puffs a little, then he dances a little. The hybrid male confuses rather than attracts prospective mates. Since both the sage and the sharp-tailed grouse inhabit the same area, their special mating and courtship displays are important for keeping each species separate. The hybrid grouse, by nature's design, is an animal oddity that has little chance of reproducing its own kind. But through this type of trial and error experimentation, animals in nature's laboratory are constantly adapting. With poor hearing and eyesight, a small brain, and no teeth or hair, the armadillo would also seem doomed. Instead, it's an American success story. Like its cousin, the anteater, it eats insects. Its shell is not hard like the turtle's, but more like thick leather, and it protects the armadillo because it can hide in dense brush where predators cannot follow. The turtle can also retreat when necessary. Luckily, it does not need to go too far to do it. Few predators can crack the turtle's hard shell. By carrying its protection along, the turtle is never far from home and is adapted so that it can live almost anywhere. In harsh desert environments, avoiding the sun is the first priority. Nearly all desert animals are nocturnal. Holes are always helpful, especially with enemies nearby. Loose sand makes digging easy, and many animals are constantly adding to their vast underground tunnels. Snakes evolved from lizards, trading in their legs for an efficient serpentine motion. Desert snakes are usually sidewinders. This diagonal movement is an adaptation for rapid travel on sand. Like its Australian namesake, the kangaroo rat has the daring habit of kicking sand in its enemy's face. The sidewinder's warning is ignored. The ringtail, sometimes called the miner's cat, is actually more raccoon than feline, but it is an excellent rodent catcher. Still, it has little success in this cat-and-mouse game. Back in its underground hideout, the kangaroo rat is safe, for now. Its adaptations have helped it to survive for one more day. Another unusual desert creature, the collared lizard. Its eyes are always on the lookout for food. And its tastes are anything but discriminating. After all, with so little to eat in the desert, one can't be too picky. The collared lizard eats insects, all kinds of plants, and sometimes even other lizards. Up close, the lizard's teeth make it easy to imagine its ferocious prehistoric ancestors, the dinosaurs. The lizard's teeth are not used to chew its food, but instead are used to grip it and pull it back into its throat. Then, relaxing its jaw, it quickly thrusts its teeth a little further forward into the prey. With these sharp hooks in its back, struggling prey has little chance of escaping. The collared lizard, like all small animals, must eat often in order to support its rapid metabolism. Like most desert animals, the lizard also depends on solid food for all of its water. But before the lizard can eat again, its dinner party is interrupted. The sparrowhawk is also hungry. Standing perfectly still, the lizards attempt to go unnoticed. But their camouflage fails to hide them. Although the collared lizard has been clocked at a speed of 17 miles an hour, speed on the ground cannot compete with speed in the air. In the desert, as everywhere, the food chain is a simple fact of life. Small animals, especially insects and spiders, are more often the prey than the predator. The wolf spider makes up for her basic disadvantage in size by bearing dozens of young and protecting them on her back during their first few days of life. The wolf spider's aquatic relative, the diving spider, has strong jaws for gripping, and 8 eyes for seeing prey and predators in almost any direction. It has adapted the land spider's hunting techniques to its aquatic habitat. It waits patiently at the water's edge to spot prey below. It injects the minnow with poison and then pulls it up on the shore for a seafood dinner. Unlike the solitary spider, walrus love company, for reasons which are still unknown to biologists. This get-together is on an island in the Bering Sea off Alaska. Why do walrus sport the long canine teeth which we call tusks? They may use them to search for clams on the ocean floor, or they may use their long whiskers to feel for their shelled dinners. Whatever other use they may have, they do use their tusks to pull themselves from the water, to sun, and socialize. And what are these creatures in tropical Florida, thousands of miles from Alaska? Walrus without tusks? No, they're manatees. Legend has it that these odd-looking creatures were the mermaids of sailors' stories. But those who have seen a manatee's face close up can only assume that the sailors must have been at sea for a long, long time. Yet the manatee is a gentle giant. Since it may weigh as much as 2 tons, its size alone eliminates the need for defense mechanisms or aggressive behavior. It's a vegetarian, eating from 60 to 80 pounds of plant matter a day. Its appetite is credited with helping to keep the inland waterways of Florida cleared of aquatic plants and open for boat traffic. Ironically, boat propellers are the now endangered manatee's greatest enemy. The tiny toenails which the manatee retains are reminders of what may be its oddest characteristic. Its closest living relative is the elephant. How and why the elephants stayed on land while their cousins became mermaids is unknown. Equally mysterious are the white moose of Alaska. Nearly all moose are dark brown in color. Albinism, a complete lack of pigment, occurs in most animal species and is not particularly rare. The white moose of the American Arctic are not albinos. Somehow, in a few moose, recessive genes create this odd coloring. Because the white moose can grow to adulthood, this genetic trait does not appear to threaten their survival. Whatever their color, the size and temperament of an adult moose, especially a male, generally discourages even grizzly bears from attacking them. The bears would rather find an easier meal, like an Arctic ground squirrel. The white moose is one of the oddest and rarest animals alive. Of the estimated 35,000 moose in Alaska, only about 6 of them are white. This is the only bull ever seen. Perhaps the white moose are the result of lingering genes from a time when all moose were white. Or perhaps they are a new beginning, and someday a brown moose will be rare. Nature is constantly deciding which of today's creatures will roam the earth tomorrow. In the long history of evolution, a number of species have adapted to their environments in improbable ways that turned out to be surprisingly successful. But often the reasons for success are overlooked because they're hidden behind strange behavior patterns or a face that we can't quite take seriously. If their peculiar looks and bizarre behavior make us smile, perhaps it's because they reflect so much of what is unique and inventive in ourselves. We may think they're funny, but these curious creatures have the last laugh, because there's always a reason for the animal oddities. I'm Marty Stauffer. Until next time, enjoy our wild America.